the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark, but I don't like it. I am now, look, I've had my reasons for being real hard on Stephanie White because I don't know what kind of agenda is going on there. There's been signs over time. There's been 2 key signs over time that would tell you Stephanie White might just believe that her Indiana Fever team is better without Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark just slammed the brakes on the 2025 season, and the internet is melting down faster than a cheap toaster. One comment from her, and suddenly nobody knows whether to cheer, panic, or launch conspiracy theories involving Gatorade deals and Mercury in retrograde. This isn't a headline you scroll past, it's the kind that grabs your skull, rattles it like a maraca, and shouts, "Wake up," because everything you thought you knew about this season just flipped.
Yeah, I mean, I think just having conversation with her and collaborating, and we knew that West Coast road trip was going to be a big one to see where we could get and how far we could get. And I think at the end of the day, she's been working her butt off to be able to get back, and we've kind of run out of time to be able to do it in a safe way, in a safe manner. And you know, I think we've all been very open and upfront with her long-term health and wellness is the most important thing. And you know, to be in a position that you need to be in to play at this time of the year, we just ran out of time to get her there.
Steph, what stood out to you about Caitlin and kind of the ray of emotion she probably felt as you came to this decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. Number one, just all the injuries that she's had. Obviously, I wouldn't speak for her, but and the amount of work that she's put in to position herself to be able to play, and then to, you know, have to ultimately make this decision. There's disappointment. There's the obvious frustration that's come with not being healthy really for an entire season. But ultimately, you know, I think the big picture is the most important thing, and those are conversations that we've continued to have. You know, and the message has continued to be that you know, it's not her long-term health and wellness and her being 100% when she's ready to go is the most important thing.
I'm curious before.
Hey.
So here we are, staring at the unthinkable, that Caitlin Clark's basketball fairy tale might be ending before its story even hits the climax. The player who turned every arena into a sold-out spectacle, who dragged casual fans into women's hoops with nothing but range and swagger, is now parked on the sideline looking like the sport's most painful what-if. And let's be blunt, the whispers are already circling. Is this really it? Could a single injury erase the hype, the records, the highlight reels, and recast her as the most heartbreaking one-season wonder in recent memory?
That seems to be the thing where it's like, you know, we're running out of time to do it in a safe manner, where it's not necessary. I don't think it's necessarily that Caitlin can't play. It's that Caitlin's probably in the same situation as she was when she played before. As in, she came back, played 5 games, got injured, came back, played 4 games, got injured. Am I right in that? 4, 5, 4. Yeah. Or 4 games, then 5 games, whatever way it was. I think it was 5 got injured, 4 got injured. So I think they're scared that if they bring back Caitlin now, maybe, that she's going to go and pick up another soft tissue injury. That's my interpretation of what's happening right now. That's what it sounds like to me.
Let's be real, the sports world forgets faster than a TikTok trend. One season you're the face of the game, the golden child plastered on every highlight reel, and the next you're a trivia answer people bring up while hyping the next rookie in line. Caitlin Clark had a season that felt like the launchpad to legend, a year that screamed superstardom was inevitable. But now? She's holding a medical chart that makes even die-hard optimists start scrolling through lists of careers derailed too soon. It's cruel, but that's the truth. Sports doesn't care how many jerseys you sold, how many arenas you packed, or how many kids wore your number. It only cares if you can still show up.
Have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, you know, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And ever since Stephanie White.
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't suiting up for games, she's suiting up for press conferences. The speeches feel less like a comeback promise and more like PR damage control. The tone isn't "see you soon," it's "please don't erase me while I disappear into rehab limbo." The spotlight's fading, and Clark knows it.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the...
And of course, the trolls couldn't wait. The same people who barely knew her name last season are suddenly acting like licensed surgeons on Twitter. Overnight, Caitlin Clark's become the Greg Oden of women's hoops in their hot takes, washed before her second paycheck clears. That's the cruelty of the internet. If you're not lighting up the scoreboard, you're just fresh meat for ridicule. Some stars come back stronger, snapping back like rubber bands. Others break and never quite glue together again. Nobody can say which side Clark will land on, but the chatter is relentless. She's already being filed away as the cautionary tale that hype doesn't guarantee longevity. Crazy part? Just months ago she was frying defenses, stacking highlights like cheat codes, and breezing through interviews with that easy grin, like she'd cracked the sport's secret code. Now? One injury later, and the narrative has flipped so hard it feels almost cruel.
There you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
Now every update on Caitlin Clark feels less like sports news and more like a daytime soap. Will she return? Will she be the same? Has the confidence cracked? Fans aren't sharing highlight reels anymore. They're squinting at injury reports like fortune tellers reading tea leaves. Because deep down, nobody wants to admit the possibility that they already witnessed her peak. The truth is, not every career ends with farewell tours and ovations. Some just stop. For every storybook comeback, there are a dozen athletes who slipped quietly into trivia question obscurity. And that's the nightmare hanging over Clark. The media isn't easing the pressure either. They've already started the "was she overrated" cycle, questioning whether she was just hype, or worse, whether her rise proves women's basketball can't sustain a true superstar. It's harsh, it's exhausting, but it's exactly how the machine works.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever...
In today's sports world, you can't just be injured, you have to become a symbol. Something bigger. Something dramatic. Something that looks good on a chyron. Caitlin Clark's knee isn't just a knee anymore. It's been turned into the centerpiece of a debate about the future of women's basketball. And here's the brutal truth, she only had one full season before the walls started caving in. One magical run. One viral highlight reel after another. 1 year of being the chosen one. If that's the whole resume, what do we even call it? Was it the start of greatness, or just a dazzling fling with destiny? Sports history isn't kind to short stories. It craves sagas, dynasties, redemption arcs. Clark's story right now is nothing but questions. Can she return to form? Will this injury permanently dim her brilliance? Could the Caitlin Clark era actually be over before it ever truly began? And yet, here's the cruel twist: if she never comes back, her legend might actually grow. Athletes who burn out early often get mythologized. Fans remember the promise, the potential, the what could have been more vividly than the reality. Clark could end up frozen in time, not as a fallen star, but as the one who lit the fuse and then vanished.
He finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're gonna have a meeting. Are you guys gonna let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
Caitlin Clark might become basketball's ultimate lost potential story, forever remembered as the unstoppable force who never got a sequel. In a twisted way, that could even make her bigger than if she'd played another decade as merely very good. Sports fans love their champions, but they love their tragedies almost as much. And that's where we are. Clark, once the unstoppable storm, is now the most fascinating question mark in basketball. Her injury could prove to be a temporary speed bump in a legendary career, or it could be the closing line of a book that feels unfinished. Nobody knows. What we do know is that the world is watching, dissecting, speculating, and secretly, almost guiltily, savoring the chaos. Because here's the juiciest headline of them all: what if she never recovers? That's not just speculation, it's the nightmare scenario being whispered in group chats, debated in sports bars, and tossed around by media talking heads. Imagine it. A player with a meteoric rise, branded as the savior of women's basketball, suddenly becoming the most high-profile what could have been of the decade. The irony is brutal. It's like the basketball gods gave the world a gift, only to snatch it back before anyone could enjoy it. Whether this ends as a comeback story or a cautionary tale, one thing's clear: Caitlin Clark's future isn't just about her. It's about the sport itself holding its breath.
Here we are, the next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season. Something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as an...
1 minute Caitlin Clark is the headline, the next she's the cautionary tale every coach cites when warning players about overexposure. And let's be real, the media loves this script. They thrive on building icons just so they can rip them apart. Clark wasn't just a player, she was the golden goose. She sold out arenas, spiked TV ratings, turned highlights into viral gold. But now? Now the storyline has flipped to pure speculation and sensationalism. Suddenly, every talking head is arguing over whether her career is already over. Forget rehab timelines, forget nuance, this is about clicks, fear, and the collapse of an empire before it even had the chance to grow. It's brutal, but it's also addictive theater, because here's the truth about sports fans: they secretly crave this kind of drama. They'll never admit it, but watching a superstar wobble is its own form of entertainment. Could Clark's injury actually end her career? On paper, yes. Plenty of athletes have been derailed before their story really started. Bodies break. Recovery isn't guaranteed, no matter how many hours you grind in the gym or how perfectly you follow the rehab script. If her body betrays her, then all that hype, all that promise, gets locked away in a dusty trophy case labeled unrealized potential.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
The terrifying truth is Caitlin Clark's margin for error is razor thin. She doesn't have a decade-long resume to shield her. No pile of MVPs, no stack of rings, no endless archive of highlight reels to remind people she belonged. She's got one season, one breathtaking, history-bending, unforgettable season where she looked like she'd already solved the sport. But if she can't add to that, her career risks being reduced to a YouTube montage titled Caitlin Clark's Best Plays Before the Injury. And nobody wants to be remembered as a playlist instead of a legacy. That's where the debate gets messy. Some insist that even if she never plays again, her impact is already immortal. She changed arenas, sold out games, and made women's basketball appointment viewing. But the truth is her resume is still a construction site, and the builders just walked off. What makes it harsher? The sports machine doesn't slow down. While Clark rehabs, the league keeps spinning. New rookies will light it up. New stars will steal headlines. By the time she's ready, if she's ready, the spotlight might not be waiting. Sports is unforgiving like that. The clock doesn't pause just because a star is stuck in the training room. Time moves forward. And legends are only remembered if they keep showing up.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
And maybe that's the cruelest twist of all. Even if Caitlin Clark heals, even if her body allows her to return, there's no guarantee the world will be waiting. The physical recovery is brutal, but the mental recovery? That's the battlefield nobody sees. Imagine going from torching defenses nightly to sitting helplessly on the sidelines while new names steal the spotlight you built. It gnaws at you. It makes you ask dangerous questions. Will I ever be that player again? Do fans still care? Did I already peak, and nobody told me? Those doubts don't whisper, they scream when the arena goes quiet. And then there's the weight of expectation. She wasn't just another rookie. She was branded the face of the league, the savior of the sport, the player who would drag women's basketball into its next era. Now imagine staring at a torn-up medical chart and realizing the future might move forward without you. That's not just rehab, that's demolition of the self. And yet, the machine demands a performance. Smile in interviews. Say the right things. Project positivity. Pretend your career isn't dangling by a thread. Because in sports, the show never pauses, not even when the game does.
WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance.
What's wild is how a single injury can rewrite an entire legacy. If Caitlin Clark fights her way back and dominates again, she's not just a star, she's an icon. The comeback story everyone points to when they talk about resilience. But if she doesn't? Then she becomes the tragic headline. The phenom who had it all and lost it before she ever had the chance to cash in. Either way, her name is etched into basketball history. It's just a matter of which column it ends up in, heroes or heartbreak. And the ripple effects go beyond her. Sponsors bankrolled her. Broadcasters centered schedules around her. The league itself leaned on her as the face of the future. Pull her out of the equation and suddenly a lot of glossy marketing campaigns look shaky. That's how powerful one player became, so powerful that her absence threatens the stability of everything built around her. In a twisted way, that makes her story even more universal. Everyone knows the feeling of having something ripped away too soon. Clark's career might echo louder as a what could have been than as a routine Hall of Fame run. That's the cruelty of sports. Sometimes one shining season is the whole book.
I don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs, because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it down.
One moment you're untouchable, the next you're breakable. That's the cruel beauty of sports. Legends can be written and erased in the blink of an eye. And the wildest part? Not even Caitlin Clark knows how her own story ends. Which leaves us with the million-dollar question: is this truly the end, or just the most suspenseful halftime break in basketball history? This isn't just Clark missing a handful of games. It's her entire future hanging in the balance like a soap opera cliffhanger, the kind that leaves fans refreshing their feeds every hour. Either she storms back and delivers the greatest comeback since sliced bread hit supermarket shelves, or she slowly fades into the background as the most famous one-season wonder women's basketball has ever seen. By the time she's cleared to lace up, if she's cleared, the spotlight may have already shifted to someone new. That's the harsh truth. But it's also why nobody can look away. Because whether this is the rise, the collapse, or the tragic epilogue, Caitlin Clark has already done what few athletes ever manage. She's made herself impossible to ignore. So the real question isn't just if she plays again, it's which version of Clark we'll see if she does. The comeback queen who redefines resilience? Or the haunting reminder of a career that ended before it truly began? Either way, the world will be watching every step, every report, every whisper. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.